Dharmakara's practices of the Bodhisattva path. The Buddha said to Ananda, as soon as the bhiksu Dharmakara spoke these verses, the entire earth shook in 6 ways, and a rain of wonderful flowers fell from heaven, scattering everywhere. Spontaneous music was heard, and a voice in the sky said, "Surely you will attain the highest perfect enlightenment." Then the bhiksu Dharmakara kept all those great vows, which were sincere, unfailing, and unsurpassed in the whole world, and intensely aspired to attain nirvana. Then Ananda, after proclaiming and establishing those universal vows in the presence of the Buddha Lokeshvara Raja, before the multitude of beings, including the 8 kinds of superhuman beings, such as Devas and dragon spirits, and also Mara and Brahma, the Bhiksu Dharmakara was solely intent on producing a glorious and exquisite land. The Buddha land, which he sought to establish, was vast in extent, unsurpassed, and supremely wonderful, always present and subject neither to decay nor change. During inconceivable and innumerable kalpas he cultivated the immeasurable meritorious practices of the Bodhisattva path. He did not harbor any thought of greed, hatred, or cruelty, nor did he allow any ideas of greed, hatred, or cruelty to arise. He was unattached to any form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or idea. Possessed of the power to persevere, he did not avoid undergoing various afflictions. Having little desire for his own sake, he knew contentment. Without any impure thought, enmity, or stupidity, he dwelt continually in tranquil samadhi. His wisdom was unobstructed, and his mind free of falsehood and deceitfulness. With an expression of tenderness in his face, and with kindness in his speech, he spoke to others in consonance with their inner thoughts. Courageous and diligent, strong-willed and untiring, he devoted himself solely to the pursuit of the pure Dharma, thereby benefiting a multitude of beings. He revered the 3 treasures, respected his teachers and elders, and thus adorned his practices with a great store of merits. By so doing, he enabled sentient beings to partake of it. He dwelt in the realization that all dharmas are empty, devoid of distinctive features, and not to be sought after, and that they neither act nor arise. He thus realized that all dharmas are like magical creations. He avoided all wrong speech that would bring harm upon himself or others, or both. He engaged in right speech that would bring benefit to himself or others, or both. He abandoned his kingdom and renounced his throne, leaving behind wealth and sensuous pleasures. Practicing the 6 paramitas himself, he taught others to do the same. During innumerable kalpas, he accumulated merits and amassed virtues. Wherever he was born, an immeasurable stock of treasure spontaneously appeared as he wished. He taught countless sentient beings and guided them on the path of the highest true enlightenment. He was reborn as a rich man, a lay devotee, a member of the highest caste, or of a noble family, a Kshatriya king, a wheel-turning monarch, a king of one of the 6 heavens in the world of desire, or even higher, as a Brahma king. He revered and worshipped all Buddhas by making the 4 kinds of offering to them. The merit he thus acquired was indescribably great. Fragrance issued from his mouth as from blue lotus flower, and every pore of his body emitted the scent of sandalwood, which permeated innumerable worlds. His appearance was majestic, and his physical characteristics and marks were truly wonderful. From his hands inexhaustible treasures, clothes, food, and drink, rare and exquisite flowers and incense, silken canopies, banners, and other ornaments were produced. In such manifestations he was unrivalled among all heavenly and human beings. He thus attained the command of all dharmas. Dharmakara's attainment of Buddhahood. Ananda asked the Buddha, "Has the Bodhisattva Dharmakara already attained Buddhahood and then passed into Nirvana? Or has he not yet attained Buddhahood? Or is he dwelling somewhere at present?" The Buddha replied to Ananda, "The Bodhisattva Dharmakara has already attained Buddhahood and is now dwelling in a Western Buddha land called Peace and Bliss, 100,000 kotis of lands away from here." Ananda further asked the Buddha, "How much time has passed since he attained Buddhahood?" The Buddha replied, "Since he attained Buddhahood, about 10 kalpas have passed." He continued, "In that Buddha land the earth is composed of 7 jewels, namely gold, silver, beryl, coral, amber, agate, and ruby, which have spontaneously appeared. The land itself is so vast, spreading boundlessly to the farthest extent, that it is impossible to know its limit. All the rays of light from those jewels intermingle and create manifold reflections, producing a dazzling illumination. Those pure, superb, and exquisite adornments are unsurpassed in all the worlds of the 10 quarters. They are the finest of all gems, and are like those of the 6th heaven. In that land there are no mountains, such as Mount Sumeru and the encircling adamantine mountains. Likewise, there are neither oceans nor seas, valleys nor gorges, but one can see those manifestations by the Buddha's power if one so wishes. In that land there is no hell, neither are there realms of hungry spirits and animals, nor other adverse conditions. Neither do the 4 seasons of spring, summer, autumn, and winter exist. It is always moderate and pleasant, never cold or hot." Then Ananda asked the Buddha, "If, world-honored one, there is no Mount Sumeru in that land, what sustains the heaven of the 4 kings and the heaven of the 33 gods?" The Buddha said to Ananda, "What sustains Yama, which is the 3rd heaven of the world of desire, and other heavens up to the highest heaven of the world of form?" Ananda answered, "The consequences of karma are inconceivable." The Buddha said to Ananda, "Inconceivable indeed are the consequences of karma, and so are the worlds of the Buddhas. By the power of meritorious deeds, sentient beings in that land dwell on the ground of karmic reward. That is why those heavens exist without Mount Sumeru." Ananda continued, "I do not doubt this myself, but have asked you about it simply because I wished to remove such doubts for the benefit of sentient beings in the future." Amida's light. The Buddha said to Ananda, "The majestic light of the Buddha Amitayus is the most exalted. No other Buddha's light can match his. The light of some Buddhas illuminates 100 Buddha lands, and that of others 1,000 Buddha lands. Briefly, that of Amitayus illuminates the eastern Buddha land, as numerous as the sands of the river Ganges. In the same way, it illuminates the Buddha lands of the south, west, and north. in each of the 4 intermediate quarters, above and below. Further, the light of some Buddhas extends 7 feet, that of others 1 yojana, or 2, 3, 4, or 5 yojanas, and the distance covered increases in this way until the light of some Buddhas illuminates 1 Buddha land. For this reason, Amitayus is called by the following names: the Buddha of infinite light, the Buddha of boundless light, the Buddha of unhindered light, the Buddha of incomparable light, the Buddha of the light of the King of Flame, the Buddha of pure light, the Buddha of the light of joy, the Buddha of light of wisdom, the Buddha of unceasing light, the Buddha of inconceivable light, the Buddha of ineffable light, and the Buddha of the light outshining the sun and the moon. If sentient beings encounter his light, their 3 defilements are removed. They feel tenderness, joy, and pleasure, and good thoughts arise. If sentient beings in the 3 realms of suffering see his light, they will all be relieved and freed from affliction. At the end of their lives, they all reach emancipation. The light of Amitayus shines brilliantly, illuminating all the Buddha lands of the 10 quarters. There is no place where it is not perceived. I am not the only one who now praises his light. All the Buddhas, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas praise and glorify it in the same way. If sentient beings, having heard of the majestic virtue of his light, glorify it continually day and night with sincerity of heart, they will be able to attain birth in his land as they wish. Then the multitudes of Bodhisattvas and Shravakas will praise their excellent virtue. Later, when they attain Buddhahood, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the 10 quarters will praise their light, just as I now praise the light of Amitayus. The Buddha continued, "The majestic glory of the light of Amitayus could not be exhaustively described, even if I praised it continuously, day and night, for the period of 1 kalpa." Amida's lifespan. The Buddha said to Ananda, "The life of Amitayus is so long that it is impossible for anyone to calculate it. To give an illustration, let us suppose that all the innumerable sentient beings in the worlds of the 10 quarters were reborn in human form, and that every one became a Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. Even if they assembled in one place, concentrated their thoughts, and exercised the power of their wisdom to the utmost to reckon the length of the Buddha's life, even after 1,000 million kalpas, they could still not reach its limit. So it is with the lifespan of Shravakas, Bodhisattvas, heavenly beings, and human beings in his land. Similarly, it is not to be encompassed by any means of reckoning or by any metaphorical expression. Again, the number of the Shravakas and Bodhisattvas living there is incalculable. They are fully endowed with transcendent wisdom and free in their exercise of majestic power. They could hold the entire world in their hands. The number of the audience at the first assembly. The Buddha said to Ananda, "The number of Shravakas at the first teaching assembly of that Buddha was incalculable, so was the number of the Bodhisattvas. Even if an immeasurable and uncountable number of humans, multiplied by millions of kotis, should all become like Mahamaudgalyayana, and together reckon their number during innumerable nayutas of kalpas, or even until they attain nirvana, they could still not know that number. Let us suppose that there is a great ocean, infinitely deep and wide, and that one takes a drop of water out of it with 100th part of a split hair. How would you compare that drop of water with the rest of the ocean? Ananda replied, when the drop of water is compared with the great ocean, it is impossible even for one skilled in astronomy or mathematics to know the proportion, or for anyone to describe it by any rhetorical or metaphorical expression. The Buddha said to Ananda, even if people like Mahamaugalyayana were to count for millions of kotis of kalpas the number of the Shravakas and Bodhisattvas at the first teaching assembly who could be counted would be like a drop of water, and the number of sages yet to be counted would be like the rest of the ocean. Jeweled trees. Again, 7 jeweled trees completely fill the land. There are some made of gold, some of silver, and others made of beryl, crystal, coral, ruby, or agate. There are also trees made of 2 to 7 kinds of jewels. There are gold trees with leaves, flowers, and fruits of silver, silver trees with leaves, flowers, and fruits of gold, beryl trees with leaves, flowers, and fruits of crystal, crystal trees with leaves, flowers, and fruits of beryl, coral trees with leaves, flowers, and fruits of ruby, ruby trees with leaves, flowers, and fruits of beryl, agate trees with leaves, flowers, and fruits made of various jewels. Again, there are jeweled trees with purple gold roots, white silver trunks, beryl branches, crystal twigs, coral leaves, ruby flowers, and agate fruits. There are jeweled trees with white silver roots, beryl trunks, crystal branches, coral twigs, ruby leaves, agate flowers, purple gold fruits. There are jeweled trees with beryl roots, crystal trunks, coral branches, ruby twigs, agate leaves, purple gold flowers, and white silver fruits. There are jeweled trees with crystal roots, coral trunks, ruby branches, agate twigs, purple gold leaves, white silver flowers, and beryl fruits. There are jeweled trees with coral roots, ruby trunks, agate branches, purple gold twigs, white silver leaves, beryl flowers, and crystal fruits. There are jeweled trees with ruby roots, agate trunks, purple gold branches, white silver twigs, beryl leaves, crystal flowers, and coral fruits. There are jeweled trees with agate roots, purple gold trunks, white silver branches, beryl twigs, crystal leaves, coral flowers, and ruby fruits. These jeweled trees are in parallel rows. Their trunks are evenly spaced. Their branches are in level layers. Their leaves are symmetrical. Their flowers harmonize, and their fruits are well arranged. The brilliant colors of these trees are so luxuriant that it is impossible to see them all. When a pure breeze wafts through them, exquisite sounds of the pentatonic scales, such as kung and chang, spontaneously arise and make symphonic music. The Bodhi Tree. Again, the Bodhi tree of the Buddha Amitayus is 4,000,000 li in height and 5,000 yojanas in circumference at its base. Its branches spread 200,000 li in each of the 4 directions. It is a natural cluster of all kinds of precious stones, and is adorned with the kings of jewels, namely moonlight mani gems and ocean-supporting wheel gems. Everywhere between its twigs hang jeweled ornaments with 1,000,000,000 different colors intermingling in various ways, and their innumerable beams shine with the utmost brilliance. The Bodhi tree itself is covered with nets of rare, excellent gems, and on it appear all kinds of ornaments in accordance with one's wishes. When a gentle breeze wafts through its branches and leaves, innumerable exquisite Dharma sounds arise, which spread far and wide, pervading all the other Buddha lands in the 10 quarters. Those who hear the sounds attain penetrating insight into dharmas and dwell in the stage of non-retrogression. Until they attain Buddhahood, their senses of hearing will remain clear and sharp, and they will not suffer from any pain or sickness. Whether they hear the sounds of the Bodhi tree, see its colors, smell its perfumes, taste its flavors, perceive its lights, or conceive of the Dharma in their minds, they all attain profoundly penetrating insight into dharmas and dwell in the stage of non-retrogression. Until they attain Buddhahood, their 6 sense organs will remain sharp and clear, and they will not suffer from any pain or disease. Ananda, when humans and devas of that land see the Bodhi tree, they will attain 3 insights. First, insight into reality through hearing the sacred sounds. Second, insight into reality by being in accord with it. And third, the insight into the non-arising of all dharmas. These benefits are all bestowed by the majestic power of Amitayus, the power of his primal vow, his perfectly fulfilled vow, his clear and manifest vow, his firm vow, and his accomplished vow. The Buddha said to Ananda, "A king of this world possesses 100,000 kinds of music, from the realm ruled by a wheel-turning monarch up to the 6th heaven. The sounds of the music produced in each higher realm are 10,000,000 kotis of times superior to those of a lower one. The thousands of varieties of musical sound produced in the 6th heaven are 1,000 kotis of times inferior to one sound produced from the 7 jewel trees in the land of Amitayus. Again, in that land there are thousands of varieties of natural music, which are all, without exception, sounds of the Dharma. They are clear and serene, full of depth and resonance, delicate and harmonious. They are the most excellent of sounds in all the worlds of the 10 quarters." Glorious adornments. Again, the halls, monasteries, palaces, and pavilions are spontaneous apparitions, all adorned with the 7 jewels and hung with curtains of various other jewels, such as pearls and moon-bright money gems. Inside and out, to right and left, are bathing pools. Some of them are 10 yojanas in length, breadth, and depth. Some are 20 yojanas, others 30, and so on, until we come to those measuring 100,000 yojanas in length, breadth, and depth. They are brimful of the water of 8 excellent qualities, clear, fragrant, and tasting like nectar. There are golden pools with beds of silver sand, silver pools with beds of golden sand, crystal pools with beds of beryl sand, beryl pools with beds of crystal sand, coral pools with beds of amber sand, amber pools with beds of coral sand, agate pools with beds of ruby sand, ruby pools with beds of agate sand, white jade pools with beds of purple gold sand, purple gold pools with beds of white jade sand. Others are composed of 2 to 7 jewels. On the banks of these pools are sandalwood trees, whose flowers and leaves hang down and diffuse perfumes everywhere. Heavenly lotuses of blue, pink, yellow, and white bloom profusely in various tints and tones, completely covering the surface of the water. If bodhisattvas and shravakas in that land enter the jewel ponds and wish the water to rise to their ankles, it rises to their ankles. If they wish it to rise to their knees, it rises to their knees. If they wish it to rise to their waists, it rises to their waists. If they wish it to rise to their necks, it rises to their necks. If they wish it to pour over their bodies, it spontaneously pours over their bodies. If they wish it to recede, it recedes. Its temperature is moderate, cool or warm, according to their wishes. The water comforts the body and refreshes the mind, washing away their mental defilements. Clear and pure, the water is so transparent that it seems formless. The jewel sand shines so brightly that even the depth of the water cannot prevent its brilliance from being seen. The rippling water forms meandering streams, which join and flow into each other. Their movement is peaceful and quiet, neither too fast nor too slow, and their ripples spontaneously produce innumerable wonderful sounds. One can hear whatever sound one wishes. For example, some hear the sound Buddha, some hear the sound Dharma, some Sangha, others hear tranquility, emptiness, and non-self, great compassion, paramita, 10 powers, fearlessness, special qualities, supernatural powers, non-activity, neither arising nor perishing, insight into the non-arising of all dharmas, and so on, until the various sounds of the wonderful Dharma, such as the sprinkling of nectar upon the head of a bodhisattva, are heard. As one hears those sounds, one attains immeasurable joy, and accords with the principles of purity, absence of desires, extinction, and reality. One is in harmony with the three treasures, the Buddha's powers, fearlessness, and special qualities, and also with supernatural powers and other methods of practice for bodhisattvas and shravakas. Not even the names of the three realms of suffering are heard there, but only nirvanic sounds of bliss. For this reason, that land is called peace and bliss. Bodily appearance of the inhabitants and the pleasures they enjoy. Ananda, those born in that Buddha land are endowed with such bodies of purity and provided with various exquisite sounds, supernatural powers and virtues. The palaces in which they dwell, their clothing, food and drink, the wonderful flowers and the various kinds of incense and adornments are like those naturally provided in the sixth heaven of the world of desire. At mealtimes, plates made of the 7 jewels, namely gold, silver, beryl, agate, ruby, coral, and amber, and also moon-bright pearl, spontaneously appear, filled with food and drink of 100 tastes, according to one's wishes. Although the food is offered, no one actually eats it. Once it has been seen and smelt, one naturally feels that it has been eaten, and so is satisfied. Thus one feels relaxed in mind and body, free from attachment to the sense of taste. When the meal is over, everything disappears, but reappears at the next mealtime. That Buddha land, like the realm of unconditioned nirvana, is pure and serene, resplendent and blissful. The Shravakas and Bodhisattvas, heavenly beings and humans there, have lofty and brilliant wisdom, and are masters of the supernatural powers. They are all of one form, without any differences, but are called heavenly beings and humans simply by analogy with the states of existence in other worlds. They are of noble and majestic countenance, unequalled in all the worlds, and their appearance is superb, unmatched by any being, heavenly or human. They are all endowed with bodies of naturalness, emptiness, and infinity.